Hello, everyone, and welcome to Outlook Video, your award-winning, nationally recognized LGBTQ plus TV news magazine. I'm Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg. This broadcast, usually brought to you from the Create TV studios in San Jose, California, is now brought to you via Zoom due to COVID-19. We sincerely hope this finds you and your loved ones staying safe and well. Today, we are pleased to bring you from New York, author and artist Carren Strock. Welcome to Outlook Video, Carren.
Thank you for having me.
Carren, let's start by talking about your book, this really well-written in its third edition, Married Women Who Love Women. Interesting title, tells us a lot, but we're going to ask you to tell us even more. But we know that you have are kind of multi-talented. You also had some exhibits all through New England, I understand, from other pieces of artworks and things. But we'll talk more about that later. What brought you to this particular writing and this specific subject?
I was sitting across the table from a friend of mine, been married 25 years. I looked across the table and I thought, oh my God, I'm in love with this woman. And I'd never had feelings like this before. And I went on a quest to find out, was it her or was it me? She did not reciprocate my feelings. Our friendship was based on such openness and honesty that I felt compelled to tell her how I was feeling. And because my feelings weren't reciprocated, I went on a quest to find out. I found I was not the only woman going through something like this. And I found there was no reading material. This was in the late 80s. Oh, I looked for answers wherever I could, and I spoke to people. And then the more I spoke to people, they gave me their friends' names and they gave me their cousins' names. And one thing led to another. And that was the beginning of the book. I was at a writer's conference and the topic was titles for books. And I had been working on an article on this for Ms. Magazine. And I was too lazy to think of another title. So I said, how about Married Women Who Love Women? And all of a sudden there was a hush in this room of about 60 or 80 women. And I thought, oh my God, I just outed myself. I'm going to be here all week. Nobody's going to speak to me. But slowly the hands started to come up. And one woman said, how does a woman make that discovery? And another one said, what does she do when she finds out? How do their children react? How is sex different with a woman and with a man? And I realized if they had these questions, everyone else did too. And those were the chapters for my book. That's how it came about. And
sounds as though you opened the floodwaters, right?
I think so.
Or the floodgates, yes.
So much so that after the first edition came out, a woman came up to me during one of the readings, clutching the book and sobbing. I could still see her face. She was redheaded with freckles. And she said that my book had saved her life. She thought she was the only married woman ever to have fallen in love with another woman. And she didn't know where to turn or who to talk to. And she decided to kill herself on a night when her husband and children were going to be home late. She was walking past a bookstore and they were just putting my book in the window. And when she saw the title, she knew she wasn't alone and she changed her mind.
My goodness, my goodness. Yes, you've had quite an impact. Married Women Who Love Women gives voices to so many women who have made the love of the same gender discovery for themselves. Are there so many narratives? And I see that, yes, there are indeed so many narratives and experiences in your book. Was it difficult to find and discuss on these personal stories? Or was it more or less, as you said, that things kind of fall into place?
Well, women shared with me because I shared my story with them. Several women told me they'd been in therapy for years and never told their therapists that they were gay. So it's things have changed a lot since the late 80s, the early 90s, and the book came out in the 90s.
True.
So much so that a second edition was needed. And then I was asked to do a third edition because now we have the issue of it's not an issue, but transgender has stepped into the picture. And
yes.
Where my glossary was just a few words at the first edition, it's pages now.
I noticed, yes.
Was finished, I just found another word which I hadn't included. It's scoliosexual. And that's people who are attracted to trans or non-binary people. So we have so many times. That was one of the reasons.
We're learning something new every day. Isn't it something,
absolutely.
though, I remember when I first came out, there still wasn't LGB, it was LGB. Then it became LGBT. Then it became LGBTQ, and now it's LGBTQ plus plus plus. I think you just added another plus.
I think so. So there is now a chapter on transgenders in the book as well. People are afraid of things that are
Okay.
different. They have limited knowledge, and that's
Mhm.
where they stay. If I gave you 3 crayons, red, yellow, and blue, and said, "What's your favorite?" You're picking from a small
Yes.
amount. You haven't seen chartreuse and purple and orange, etc., etc. And it's the
Very
same
good
with
analogy.
little girls were told, "You will marry somebody like your daddy." They didn't know they had options, but now they do. And other people who just did not fit into the category of gay or lesbian realize there are other options for them as well.
True, very true. In fact, I found a quote that is not exactly on this particular subject, but I like what it says. It's by Cindy J. Harris. And this person writes, "It's surprising how many persons go through life without ever recognizing that their feelings towards other people are largely determined by their feelings toward themselves. And if you're not comfortable within yourself, you can't be comfortable with others." I think this says a great deal also about your book with women coming out and realizing their feelings. Once they become comfortable with themselves, they're starting to become more comfortable with their situations. Is that true? Did you find that to be true?
Absolutely true. I live by 3 ahas, and one of them is, it's really not about me. It's about you. If I say to you I'm a lesbian and you have trouble dealing with it, that's your problem. It's not my problem. And once I realized that, it was such a freeing revelation. And so I try
Indeed.
to share that with other people. It's not about you. You do the best you can, and the other people, they can deal with you or not.
Yes, I think that's true in all different types and different societal levels. So
Some of the
I,
women, I've interviewed hundreds of women at this point, and for
yeah.
some, it's a very easy transition because for most women, their best friend is another woman. It's a sense, and
Yeah.
for everyone at birth, it's the sense, the touch, the smell, the sound of that other woman. And it used to be little girls, as I said, were turned and said, "No, it's going to be a man." Anyway, so it's very easy for some women to cross the line. Others, because of religious upbringings, have a more difficult time. And some of them, the families accept, and some they don't. So each is a different situation. You can't have one general rule for everybody. It doesn't work.
Well said also. And I like that you point that out in your book with some women who are married and stay in that heterosexual marriage, but still
Redefined
continue.
relationships.
Yes, yes. So exactly, you're redefining relationships, redefining gender fluidity. And it's really, really quite well said in your book. That gives a lot of insight.
And when I started to write this book, it was really a catharsis for myself. And it became a catalyst for so many women. I get letters saying, "I highlighted your book in yellow until the whole book was yellow. Thank you for writing my story. Thank you for knowing my life." And it just, so I know I was supposed to write this book.
You definitely are on the right track. I'm on the right track, but you have others, and
Yes, I
not,
do.
and they're
I,
not all LGBTQ plus plus community related. Is
right.
that correct?
Somebody had said years ago, you have, if you have a lot of talents, you have to pick one and stay with it. And I believe them. Not so. I'm a very eclectic writer. Whatever I love, I write about. I was walking past the park and I saw people doing Tai Chi, and I thought this would make a wonderful children's story. I did a story called Secret Survivors, which just came out at the same time Married Women did. It's about children stuck in a blizzard and they hate each other, but they have to learn to cooperate. They're responsible for 5 small children, or none will survive. All of my books are on my website, and all of my paintings are on my website as well. So
Very good.
the
And
writings,
tell our viewers of your website.
it's www.Carren, Carren, Strock, Strock.com.
Easy peasy. Yes,
You can
very
spell the
good.
name.
Okay, well, we can look forward to that. And
Yes.
talking about other books, you have something upcoming that's lesbian themed.
It's out now.
Oh, it's out already.
This one's
Yes.
called Tangled Ribbons.
Ah,
And
okay.
it's a novel. It started out to be a story between two women. And then all of a sudden I'm typing and somebody says, well, what about me? And I thought, oh, she's got a spirit guide. And then the other character piped up, well, I want one too. So it became a paranormal. It's a lesbian paranormal. It's a mystery or romance. And it's fiction, but a lot of the pieces have been taken from women I've spoken to. So you might see bits of yourself in this story if you read it. And it's got a surprise
Okay.
ending.
Huh?
Um,
Well, we very much appreciate all the what you've shared with us. Again, I think many of our viewers who are questioning or just inquisitive and want to find out more about this subject about married women who love women and find
well,
out more about this, their own discoveries, can certainly refer to this. Yes.
may I just add, after the first edition came out, I got several letters saying, what about the lovers of married women, the single
Oh,
lovers? Yeah.
true. I think that's
As people are willing to step out of the box and be true to themselves.
yes, excellent. I like the way that you said that, that you just verbalized that.
Thank you.
That's terrific. Well, thank you once again for joining us here at Outlook Video. Well, our viewers can go to that website and we'll put that on the screen for you later. So they can go to that website and find out more about you and that book, or they can find this book perhaps in their local libraries or a bookstore. Go to your latest bookstore.
Yeah, if they ask for it, the libraries will bring it in.
Excellent. Very good. I know libraries are mostly closed right now, but you can order online.
All the .com bookstores have it. Yeah.
There you go. You can do that too. So we'll look forward to seeing more people with this in their hands and not covering it up, but showing it in plain view.
And if anyone has any questions afterward, I think my email is in the book. So
very good.
I am approachable. I am reachable.
Very good. And obviously you've taken the time to join us with a Here on Outlook Video. We thank you once again, Carren, and wish you all the best in the future. Stay safe and well.
You be well too. Stay safe.
I'm Joel Burns and you're watching Outlook Video.
Warning on the lights out.
Do you think Jack would mind?
Works out.
Doesn't show up.
So 3 Decembers is the story of a very famous actress who has 2 adult children. and it's the story of their lives over 3 different decades. 1986 at the peak of the AIDS crisis, 1996, and 2006. And it is about the dynamics between them, the struggles that they have to know each other, to love each other. It's about struggling with family, and along the way, dealing with issues of isolation, with the AIDS epidemic itself. You did not know how you could get it. Yeah, because maybe you could get it and then you bring it to your kids.
Wow,
you know?
okay, yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Right? There is also at the very end, it deals with redemption and connection, and that is the overall arching theme of the piece, I think. I love you and your brother. That felt just a little on the slow side. I think it's very clear, but it's also, I love you and your brother with every inch of my soul.
Yeah.
It's deliberate, but it felt a little bit off.
I love you.
If you're a human being, there's something for you in this piece. And in a way, coronavirus, though we're isolated, though we're separated, we're all going through very similar emotional experiences.
We love to get mail from you. Email us at comments@outlookvideo.org.
To contact us by phone, call 408-293-3040, extension 205.
Visit our website at outlookvideo.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/outlookvideo.
And connect with us at facebook.com/outlookvideo. I'm thrilled to welcome back Ken Yeager to Outlook Video, someone who truly doesn't need an introduction, but here we go. After leaving public office, Ken went back to teaching at San Jose State University. Not one for having time on his hands, he also became the executive director of the Baymet Community Foundation and exhibition director of Queer Silicon Valley, which is queersiliconvalley.org, a digital exhibition and history which documents the growth of the LGBTQ plus community in San Jose and other surrounding areas through archival footage, documents, personal stories, photos, and videos. So welcome back, Ken.
Well, thanks, Tom. It's good to be here.
So you retired and you're super you're busier than ever.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Certainly, maybe semi-retired, but after leaving the County Board of Supervisors, after 12 years and 26 years total of elected office, I went back to teaching at San Jose State, which is what I was doing before elected office.
Are you teaching politics again?
Yeah, local politics,
okay.
And so that's great. And then became executive director of the Baymet Community Foundation, and then about a year ago or so, we got a grant from the county to do this history project, and that's how Queer Silicon Valley then got born.
So that's really kind of great because as someone in Silicon Valley and queer, it seems that
it's the website for you.
It is. And what's interesting is that normally things are pretty San Francisco centric.
Yeah.
I remember that even back in my 20s, which was a while ago.
Wow.
So it's
the
great.
website doesn't go that far back,
Yeah.
just to let you know.
Thank you very much. But what'll be interesting is to see all this curated information.
Yeah.
So I see it as kind of how I start every day. I'm not a big Facebooker, but I go to Facebook and I see that every day you have something different. And what's been really kind of fun for me is the shock of recognition of either knowing the people that are in the photos, or like, oh, I've been there, or I wonder what that person is doing now. So tell me how you choose the content.
Yeah, what's good for folks like us, we've experienced a lot of this, as opposed to somebody who either is new to town or younger. And so somewhere in the back of our minds, we in a way know this history, or we know people who know it. And what I was really trying to do for the audience of Queer Silicon Valley was people like us who, it's our only opportunity to look back and say, oh yeah, I remember that, or I was really proud of that moment, or I was involved in that march. Because otherwise we have no mirror. And once we go, all that history goes.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wanted to capture it, to tell our own story. And then for younger people who don't know any of this, and because there's no way to access it. I mean, it's not going to be in the newspaper. There's really
no real archive.
There's nothing anymore, and compounded certainly because of COVID. So I think I want younger people in particular to feel really proud of all that has gone on here. That it just didn't happen miraculously, and that hopefully they'll get involved and say, wait a minute, I need to be part of this movement to protect what we've won here for the next generation.
I think it's really important too to recognize the shoulders you stand on.
Yeah.
And that there was a path to this, and it, like you said, it just didn't happen magically. And now that it's there, it has to be maintained, it has to be honored, it has to be sustained. And so I think that could be very interesting if you're younger, you're new, you're in this heteronormative suburb,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Not outside of San Francisco, and just how do you relate to all these things?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, there's so much to talk about there. One thing that I like is that we had to do things ourselves here in San Jose, Santa Clara County. We didn't sort of have that infrastructure in San Francisco where you had a long history, a lot of people involved, a lot of organizations, so if one failed, another could pick it up. Here, we had to create our own world down here separately because we were dealing with issues separate from San Francisco. And we really tell that story of how we went from being outcasts, that there was a vote in 1980 on whether the city and county would have non-discrimination laws protecting LGBTQ people. It was on the ballot, and it won or lost, depending on how you want to look at it, by 75%. 75% of the voters said no, gay people should get no rights at all. And that was sort of the bottom,
right.
Very bottom. And then so it's really a story of how do we build back up to where we are today, where we're full participants, where we have some recognition, we have a lot of rights, we're finally electing more gay people to office, but it just didn't happen just by itself.
Well, as one of the first openly gay elected officials, when you look at the span of
Yeah.
not only your life, but you come across all this information, and I'm sure it's very rich. What strikes you? I mean, how proud you must be of your own accomplishments, but what do you see when you look at all this material?
Well, you know, I see a community that rose from the ashes, and that I'm hoping that there's other communities that are beginning to sort of, you know, emerge as well. A lot of it, you know, because all the excitement, you know, with the younger people and certainly getting much more involved in politics, it's a question of, okay, well, how do you become, the word isn't legitimate, but how do you become successful in what you want to achieve? And that really is the story about the LGBT community here. And so I think we need to tell it ourselves, but I'm hoping that it has broader meaning throughout the whole community. I'd also love for other groups here in San Jose, often ethnic communities, to sort of do the same kind of history of their movement, because again, there really isn't much there. So I just hope this whole thing grows. I want to just also add quickly that I'm hoping people will give me more content.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there an easy way for people to say, you know what, I have a story,
Yeah.
my group has a story, how do they get onto Queer Silicon Valley?
Yeah, they can just go to the website and send me a
Raise your hand,
and send me an email or whatever. It's very easy to get a hold of it, queersiliconvalley.org. But we would love more footage. We would love more photos. We want to do more personal interviews with people as well. I mean, I want this project to sort of keep on going. And this is sort of like the first stage, if you will, of the project. It was pretty much done. We've got this terrific timeline as well. We have over like 200 entries over things that have happened over the last 50 years. But we're also going to then start doing a documentary. I hope to start filming.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that seems very legit.
that seems very legit, and I think it'd be a little easier to us to tell our story to a broader group of people. You know, getting it televised, and particularly to put it in the schools. And so I'm hoping that we can work with all the different school groups as well. So I think that would give a much broader audience to all the incredible content we have in the website. And then, if that's not enough, the third stage is to have a physical exhibit at History San Jose. So we'll be in a gallery, we'll have a lot of this material, people can sort of walk through it, we'll sort of see what COVID does and when it sort of opens and all of that. But we're hoping by late spring we'll be able to have that set up as well, and so people can go through it and just sort of, you know, watch it and see it, touch it. as well. So I think, I mean, it's an exciting project, and I should say we're also looking for funding if people want to make any donations, or if there's any companies. It'd be great to get more high-tech companies.
Yeah, to get some corporate sponsorship.
They get to be on the website, they get to be listed in the documentary, and also at the exhibit. So lots of ways to tell people about their company or individuals supporting this.
Well, how great to it's such a robust plan, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, has anything surprised you, good or bad, in looking at all this information?
You know, all good. I should say all good. You know, some people, you know, we've lost, and just to talk about, you know, HIV/AIDS, and we do a whole section on that, you know, that those are stories that are never really going to be told from so many individuals, and so that's, you know, that's sad. But I've been able to contact people really almost all over the world, you know, as people have spread, who started organizations, but now are sort of unknown, but I want to tell their story.
But how fun to be getting back with all of that richness and history and just personal.
Yeah, I should also say there's a great section on, I mean, there's 20 sections. I mean, there's so much material, but one is on the gay press, you know, which of course we don't really have anymore, but there's a whole section on
so all the video is in there.
Is out there.
That's great.
Yeah, so people, well, when did they start, and who did it, and what's going on here? So it's just all that information that people can have access to.
That's great, because there's all these stories out there, and it's important for us with our voices to tell them, to get it right.
Yeah.
And to back it up with all the information.
And not to have it forgotten. Can you imagine all of this history like forgotten? I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it. And so that's why I'm excited about it, and very happy to be involved in it.
Excellent. Well, for more information about this, go to queersiliconvalley.org, to the website. We're looking for sponsorship. They're looking for information, archival footage, documents, stories, photos, videos. You have a story. We have a story. So let's tell it. Let's tell it in our own voice. And I'm just excited that this is happening.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you for coming on the show.
And that's a wrap for this month's edition of Outlook Video. You can watch extended versions of our segments and archive past programs on Outlook Video's YouTube channel at youtube.com/OutlookVideo. Be sure to click on the subscribe button and also click on the bell for notifications of our latest videos.
Also friend us on Facebook at facebook.com/OutlookVideo. Outlook Video is made possible by generous donations from viewers like you and talented volunteers behind the camera whose names you'll see as we close. And if you live in the Bay Area and would like to volunteer at Outlook Video, contact us through our Facebook page.
My hope is that this piece allows people to appreciate their families. And I don't think that there's anything that is more important right now to appreciate your loved ones, the families that are there from blood or the families that are there that you create.
And my hope for this piece is that it will be something that brings people together and provides some healing and some opportunity for catharsis, as it already has for us in this room, and we're incredibly grateful.
I hope that as we gather to watch this piece, that we open our hearts and welcome in all the people who have suffered, who have lost others, and honor them by going forward.